back to Magic TV. My name's Craig. It is 9 o'clock, which means it's time for a Talk Magic. And I have on here the man that in 2020 won the Consistent Creator Award from Magic TV, one of mine and Ryland's favorite magicians, somebody who has burst onto the scene and just releases incredible trick after incredible trick, the one and only Nikolas Mavresis. How are you doing, my friend?
Hey, Craig, how are you?
I'm very good. I'm so excited to get you on this channel. I have had so many people say, Craig, you've got to interview Nikolas. Craig, you've got to be interviewing Nikolas. And I've tried. Oh, I keep saying to people, I've tried over and over again. And you're such a busy guy. But I finally managed to find time. You know, you found time to fit me in. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I mean, yeah, I had some hesitations, you know, about doing an interview, not because of my English, because English is not my first, you know, my native language. But as I said to you, you know, who am I to give now interviews? You know, I'm new to magic, and I think I have lots more to learn than give. You know, that's my philosophy. But then I thought, you know, I get asked questions from people. I get lots of compliments. That's really, you know, humbling and really nice. And, you know, I want to thank you now for your kind words. You're very kind. So I thought, you know, I should do this, and you are the best one to do this. You know, I mean, you know, I love your work. I love you.
Thank you so much. And, you know, I don't know if you realize this, but when you become a magician, you're supposed to have a big ego. I think you forgot about that at some point because you're so humble. And you are, I don't really know how long you've been into magic, and we'll get to that in a bit. But the bottom line is, in the last 2 years, you have released more quality magic than most other magicians put together. Like, I said this to you off camera, and I'll say it again on camera. Every single routine that you bring out is a hit. I have never seen a bad Nikolas Mavresis trick, but I'll go beyond that. Not only is every trick that you release good, I know when I see your name attached to a product, it's going to be very clever. There's going to be a big focus on clever methods instead of sleight of hand, which makes it easy. And it's going to be something different. It's not going to be just a card trick. You've always got some sort of weird kind of premise or hook that you put that just makes the thing so commercial. So I don't care if you've been in magic 5 minutes or 5 years or 5 decades, your mind is able to do things that most other people can't do. And it's incredible to watch some of the routines that you've put together, and you sit there going, why didn't I think of that? That is so clever. So
yeah, I mean, I don't sit down and think, okay, what I'm going to do next. To be honest, this thing that happened, which of course it's not good, you know, the virus thing and the lockdown has helped me, to be honest, to sit down and you know, actually do magic, because I used to work, you know, I'm a musician. Okay, I have to say that I was a full-time musician. Now everything is closed. Hopefully everything is going to be back to normal soon. But I used to work 7 days a week, so I didn't have time to do, you know, I was performing magic, but I wasn't creating magic. So I sat down and, you know, thought, well, I have time. I don't want to, you know, to do music again, because that's my job. So I want to do, you know, magic, cooking, you know, my hobbies, things that I like apart music, right? So I sat down and really put all my focus on my magic, and I released my first effect, which was Cinemental, about 1.5 years ago.
Well, before we talk about your first trick, and I do want to bring that up, let's just rewind a little bit. You say you're new into magic. How old are you now, and how old are you when you got into magic?
I'm 36 now, and I got into magic 10 years ago.
So not that new then, really, when you think about this, Nikolas. I mean,
not that new, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
so
right.
you've got a decade of performing experience. And what got you into magic? So 26 is quite late. I speak to a lot of people on this channel. I ask them their origin story, and they say, well, when I was 3 years old, my dad pulled a coin from behind my, or some other such variation on the story. But you're saying that you didn't even get into magic until you're 26 years old.
Yeah, because
yeah, I was just going to say, how did that happen?
When I was 3 years old, my father didn't pull, a coin from my ear. So, and I didn't get a magic kit. So I guess I didn't know magic. I was while growing up, I used to, watch magic shows and this kind of stuff. I used to go to some, a circus, right? And they were doing some magic there. But I was always thinking, okay, I didn't see any mentalism until, my late 20s. So, and I was a bit skeptical. Okay, there's a box. The woman is okay. There's something fishy there about the box, and I wasn't, I didn't care. That was the truth. The truth. When I was probably 26, I used to work and perform music in a hotel here in Paphos, where I live. And during my breaks, there was a magician, and I had nothing to do. I went to the bar where the magician performed, and I used to watch him. One day, he did something that sparked my my imagination. I was actually fooled by the trick, really fooled, because he did a lottery prediction trick, and I wasn't clever. I thought, wow, I'm not clever. I don't know how this is done. Actually, how he did that. It was so amazing, for me, because he asked people from the audience to name random numbers, and then he produced the lottery ticket with the numbers. I said, "What? That's incredible, and I have to know how it's done." So I asked him, and he actually gave me he actually, and I remember it still, today. He gave me a stupid answer, which I'm not going to tell now, but it was stupid. It wasn't the answer that I was looking for. He lied to me. Mm-hmm. So I reached out to a friend here in Paphos, who I knew that he knew magic, but he was performing close up, coins and this kind of stuff. So I rang him the next day and asked him, I saw this magician doing this and this. How he did that? He said, look, let's meet, let's have a coffee, and I will explain some things to you. And I took it from there. I went to a magic shop, ordered some things, and then I started learning magic.
Fantastic. And obviously, you're a professional musician. Yes. Have you ever performed magic professionally as well, or is that something that's always been more of a hobby?
I do perform almost every day during my breaks when working as a musician. Actually, I enjoy going to the tourists and entertaining them with magic, and I get to do lots of different stuff because, it's not a professional gig per se. I'm doing it because I like it. It's my breaks. The customers know me, and now I don't have to go to them. They come to me, show us, I do my break, and I sit at the bar, have a drink, and they come to me, show us a trick. Then the two people become 4, 6, 8, and we're a big crowd, and I'm doing whatever I like. If I want to test out something, if I want to, anything, I can do anything. So that's good.
That's fantastic. And obviously, being a professional musician, you're used to being on stage in front of people. I mean, that's obviously something that you've done your entire life. Do you find there's a crossover between magic and music? Because I've spoken to people in the past like Joel Dickinson and John Gustafaro, who are also professional musicians that also do magic. And both those guys have said to me in the past, there is a bit of a crossover when it comes to magic and music. Do you find the same?
Yeah, it is. I mean, people ask me, how was your experience when you perform magic for the first time? Actually, I didn't feel that it was the first time I was performing magic. I was performing, because I'm used to be in front of people and I don't care, So it was the same experience when I did magic. I didn't care and I had fun. So music and performing generally really helped, and it felt like it wasn't the first time I was doing that. It was natural,
So have you got any advice for magicians that struggle with nerves? A lot of magicians struggle with nerves. They take magic on as a hobby, and they want to take that leap to performing in front of like real people that aren't their friends and family. And they have that shaky hand syndrome where their hands start shaking and they start sweating. As somebody who's been a professional performer for a long time, do you have any advice on how to deal with nerves?
As I said, I'm lucky enough to have performed already in front of people doing music, but my advice is perform to your close friends and family because they won't judge you, right? Don't go straight away and perform to lay audience, and you have to be prepared. In order to be prepared, you have to ask kindly, your family. I know that, my dad doesn't want to see magic. He doesn't like it. So I don't go to him because I don't want, negativity, and I don't want, okay, get on with it, that thing. I don't want to rush things. So I might ask my wife, I might ask close friends of mine. If you have, a magic buddy or someone who can perform to, do that. Also, magic clubs help a lot. There are some really nice guys. If you ask them, can you please see my trick? They won't judge you. You're not there to be judged. Just show them your trick, and I'm sure you will take some good advice. Fantastic. And experience helps. If you do it 100 times, then if you go out and perform it, you will be much more confident than doing it five times in front of your family and then think that you're ready to go and perform. You're not. Just take your time, work the effect. Don't do 100 effects. Do 3, 4, 5 effects and make them perfect, because practice makes perfect. And again, ask your close friends that that they will not judge you.
That's really great advice. Really, really great advice. So here's the next question. And we're going to talk about the effects that you've released at some point soon. But before we get there, one thing that I've noticed with a lot of the magic that you do, it's very, a lot of it is mentalism, not all of it, but a lot of it's mentalism. And there's not an emphasis on sleight of hand. When you were learning magic, were you studying sleight of hand, or were you always wanting to kind of hone the more, I don't want to call your tricks self-working because they're not, but a lot of the stuff that you do, it relies more on subtlety than it does learning a tricky move. What's your background in magic in terms of the magic that you practiced and you learned? And
I love hard magic, first of all. I don't do coins, not because I don't like them, because I'm not good at them, and I don't, I'm not a good coin magician, and I guess I haven't studied coin magic because it was something that I knew that I don't like, and that led to me. I try to learn. I have a friend of mine who is a coin magician now, and he tried to teach me something. I'm not good at it, so that's another lesson here. You have to know what the things that you're not good at it, and don't do them. You have to know that. You have to have self-conscious, self-conscious. How do you say that? You have to be aware that there are some things that you're not good at them. Accept it and don't do them, because I see a lot of kids magicians who try to be mentalists, and try to be that and that and that. It doesn't work. I think nobody's good at everything, right? That's my philosophy. So I focused on card magic. I learned sleight of hand, and it's something that every mentalist should know. Sleight of hand. It doesn't mean that my tricks. I agree that most of them are semi-automatic, self-working. But that's my philosophy in mentalism. I don't want to see a mentalist do, a riffle force or, actually, there are some other forces that are underestimated that are very good for mentalism. So you have to pick which one to do. Anyway, you have to have a really good toolbox in order to choose and pick which move and which move you're going to perform for each trick, right? So sleight of hand is essential for any magician, even if you do kids parties, even if you do what, I don't care. You have to know sleight of hand. So I learned sleight of hand. I do the fancy cuts, but I don't use them when I perform mentalism, right? Because my philosophy is mentalism should be hands off. If you want a really clean effect, you have to focus on your presentation, and it has to be fooling. If it fools a magician one time, it will fool a layperson 100 times, right? So that's my philosophy. So I started learning sleight of hand, and I'm still learning. If I learn a new billet switch, I will learn that, if I see a good billet switch, I will learn that. If I see a nice center turn better than the one that I'm doing now, I will learn that. But I pick what things I will learn. I don't waste my time learning everything.
That's really good advice, and something that everybody should really take on board. You see so many people that try to learn everything. It's that old expression, isn't it? Jack of all trades, but master of none. And what you've done is you've lasered down into one particular genre, which is just brilliant. Now, my next question is, you said that your first release was a year and a half ago, and it was Cinemental. And that was directly with Murphy's Magic, which is a pretty big deal. Normally, when people bring their first trick out, it's either self-produced or with a smaller company or a little download. But no, you decided to bring your first release out. A, you got yourself on Murphy's radar. And then B, I remember seeing Titanus rave about this. Like absolutely rave about it. Everybody was buzzing about Cinemental, and everybody was like, well, who is this Nikolas Mavresis guy? Who is that? What is this? And Cinemental is an amazing trick. It's such a clever, and it's a perfect example of your style of magic, which is multiple different principles mashed together into one thing, that all these different principles hide each other, which is great. And also, going back to what I talked about earlier on, there's a wonderful hook there. It's not a card trick. You're talking about films.
Yeah.
So my question is, what made you decide to start creating? What made you decide to go with Cinemental first of all? And how did you get on Murphy's radar?
Okay, that's a lot of questions. Let's start from the last one. So I started going to Blackpool, the Blackpool Magic Convention, which is, I think, the best and the biggest magic convention in the world. I started going there 5 years ago, and I've been going each and every year. Last year, 2 years ago, I went there, and I emailed Titanus, right, from Murphy's Magic, which is a Greek guy. We speak the same language as well. So I asked him to see if he has time to see an effect of mine, and we agreed to meet at Blackpool, right? So I sat down, I showed him my trick, and he really loved it from the first moment, because he thought that, I did the first phase and he was blown away. Then I did the second phase, which he didn't expect, and he loved it even more. So I guess it was a good effect because he really liked it. He showed it to the team later, and then they sent me the contract a few days later, because the Murphy's team loved it. So it's a good opportunity for me to say big thanks to Titanus, George, and Javier, for trusting my effect. yeah, it was a good effect. I was lucky, because I got to sit with the guys and show them my trick. It was the correct moment, and yeah, they liked it. And later on, the coronavirus hit, and then I started really. I thought, okay, what tricks? Because I was doing the tricks that I released, I was performing them before I released them. I was performing a trick with the countries. I didn't call it destinations back then, but I was performing that trick. So I sat down, filmed all my tricks, and then that led to the creation. Okay.
Okay.
So what was the other question?
Well, the other question is, what made you decide to start creating? So how come you decided to start creating? Yeah, because you're a full-time professional musician. You're very, very busy. You're out performing. You're doing magic to lots of people. You've become a very good mentalist and a magician. So yeah. So what made you want to start creating magic before you released Cinemental? Obviously, you contacted Titanus because you said you wanted to show him your trick, which obviously was very successful, as we all know. But what made you decide to want to go down that route in the first place?
I started creating magic actually without realizing that I do that, because I took a trick a card trick, a dull card trick, and then I wanted to go out and perform it. So I changed that. I changed that subtlety. I added that. Then it became a new trick, a different trick than the original. So I was like, whoa, that's not that trick that I started performing. That's actually three tricks combined together, and I changed the presentation as well. So it's a new trick. So I created a trick. Then I did that with many different types of tricks, types of effects, like the bank night routine, like the any card at any number. I realized that I had my own versions for each and every effect, right? I have my own version of any card at any number. I have my own version of the stranger card plot. I have my own version of bank night. I call it Russian bank night. You have to see my lecture to realize what I'm talking about now. But anyway, I have my version of each and every trick because that's the way I like to do it. And that's actually a nice point to give some advice to youngsters, because they have to try and be original. Too many doing the same things, and my advice is think outside the box. When purchasing a trick, you should try and build your own presentation to suit your own personality, because then you don't want to be a good or a bad copy of someone else, right? So I tried to do that. I tried to convert a trick and make it work for me and only for me. That's why you see tricks for me with movies, with suspects, because I love TV crime and mystery films. That's why I created the collector, right? Because I like escape games as well. You can take inspiration from anything that you like and make it your own. You can make your own presentation out of it. You can make your own trick. So that's another advice I would give: be original.
That's really, really good advice. And on the subject of creativity, while we're talking about this, before we carry on, what advice would you give on inspiration? And the reason I ask you this is because that's the thing that a lot of magicians struggle with: how to get inspired to create that particular routine. And one thing that I see is, and I've talked about this before, the tricks that you release. Well, I know you do card tricks, but a lot of the stuff that you release commercially, they have such an interesting premise. Something like The Collector, where you're talking about serial killers, something like Destinations, where you're talking about traveling, Cinemental. The list goes on and on and on, even to your latest release, Poison, which is, about drinks. Everything has an interesting premise. Where do you get the ideas from for that premise, that hook? Where does your inspiration come from, Nikolas?
Okay, first of all, I want to say that if a magician or a mentalist sits down and thinks, okay, I want to, let's create a trick, I want to create a trick, and it's forced, it won't happen. You have to have your mind open, your eyes open, and take inspiration from little things. Anything can be an inspiration. Even a dream can spark your imagination. I mean, the poison that came out from the bars that I sit down and I do tricks with the drinks, at the bar. I said to them, I'm going to buy you any drink that you want, and write down drinks, and they choose tap water, for example, that's, and I buy them, tap water instead of whiskey or something. So it has to be something that you really love, I mean, and hobbies that you like, it might be food, movies, traveling, anything can spark your imagination. And I will give you a perfect example, okay? When I was doing Cinemental back then, but I didn't have the fancy cards. I used to write the movies in blank index cards, and I used to perform Cinemental or a version of Cinemental. I used to do this to a couple, okay, and they were cinephiles. They really loved movies, and I love movies. I don't do the trick because I want to do a trick. Right, I can do the ambitious card routine if I want to do a trick, but I want to do things that I can talk about them and I can relate to them. So I was doing Cinemental, and I ended up not doing the trick, but talking with them about movies for half an hour. Then, I have to go back and perform music. So I didn't perform the trick, but I had a great time talking about movies with them. So you have to pick things that you really love. They don't have to be forced. Don't sit down and think, okay, I'm going to create something, anything. Do things that you really care about. That's my advice.
That's really, really good advice. People buy when you're passionate about something, like you are about movies, for example, that sells, that enthusiasm sells. So I totally understand where you're coming from, 100%.
Yeah, sorry, I want to add that people know when you're fake and when you're not. If you're faking or not, they know that because they can see it in your eyes. They can see it in from the way you stand and you talk. They can see if it's forced. I'm not saying that if you have a script or something, you should not go with it. Of course, you should go with it, but you have to really mean it. If you write a script, write things that you really mean them. When they are the words that you are coming out of your mouth, you have to really mean those words. Don't just write random words that you think that they're going to play well with an audience. That's why I say you have to be original, you have to be authentic.
Right, that's really good advice. And what about you mentioned you've got your own version of ACAN, you've got your own version of this, you've got your own version of that. Obviously, that's not based around movies. That's not based around one of your hobbies. That's a card trick. And it's a card trick. It's your own version of a plot that a lot of people have explored. When you're looking at a plot that's already out there, like ACAN, for example, like any card at any number, how do you approach the creativity process there? Do you look at everyone else's version and go, how can I improve it? Or how would you, let's take your ACAN, for example. You don't have to perform it, but what was the process that you went through to create your own version?
Okay, so let's take ACAN. I think it's a great trick, and I think it's really, it's an impossibility for someone to name any number, any number and any card, and the card is there. So, but I realized that laymen don't see it that way. It's a dull trick for them if you don't dress it up, accordingly. You have to really stress up that it's really impossible. You might go to a lay audience and say, name a number, name a card. Okay, let's deal down. Okay, it's there. They don't care, believe me, because I've done it, and I've done it wrong because they didn't care. I mean, it was a long time ago because I don't do it that way. Now what I do is I show them 40 doors. Okay, it's a door. Behind each door is a celebrity. They name any celebrity, any door. They open the door, and the celebrity is there that they name. That's an icon, but with a different presentation. And I have my stage version of it. You cannot perform it close up, but it's perfect because they write down any celebrity, any door, and I have an envelope, a big door, and behind the door, and there's the number that they named, 46. The door is 46. We turn over the door, and it's the celebrity there. And there's no stooges, nothing. There's no pre-show. It's all done there. So that's my version. That's how I look at things. I don't go with a deck of cards and say name any number, name any card, and I deal down. I don't do that because that's not my style. I don't say it's not good, but it's not my style. Any card and number can be great in the hands of As He Wins, for example, okay, or some other magicians. But I like to dress up tricks and do things that, again, I want to enjoy the trick first and then the audience.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. This is brilliant. This is absolutely.
I should add that I do card tricks as well, but I think I mostly perform mnemonica, memorize the routines because I find them the stronger. And I do mentalism, as you know. I like to perform with. I always have a mnemonica on me every time.
Perfect. Absolutely perfect. I agree. I'm a huge fan of mnemonica, as you know, so couldn't agree with you more. We'll get back to that in a minute. Let's get back to your story. So you've pitched Murphy's, you've met Titanus at Blackpool, you've pitched him. They've said yes. Murphy's have got behind you. The packaging for Cinemental was fantastic. The marketing was great. The trailer was wonderful. Everything was great about it. It was a big success. It put Nikolas Mavresis on the map. Now everyone's wondering who you are. And then you don't release anything else through Murphy's for a while. Now I know that you're going to in the future, so we'll get to that. But you then kind of the next several items that you have coming out, suddenly now you're working with Alakazam instead of Murphy's. Is there a reason you decided to move away from Murphy's after the success of Cinemental and go with Alakazam, or is it just wanting a different sort of change of scene?
Actually, I did one with, I think, no, it was Zener match with Alakazam, and then I went back to Murphy's and released Celebrity, which is a download. I know your opinion about downloads.
I got no problem doing a download when it's good. I got no problem with good downloads.
Yeah, no,
I didn't know you had one, so I'll go and check that out. But
yeah. So I have another one with Murphy's called Celebrity, and you should check that out. But yeah, I guess each trick has its own place. Okay, I knew that Zener match and the collector and these kind of tricks are a better fit with Alakazam. So I actually sent Alakazam some of my other creations in the past before sending Zener match. But looking at them now, I can see why they couldn't release them. I mean, I sent them a version where a spectator can name any card in the deck, and you predicted that card. You knew that card was, you knew that they were going to select that card, but it had 38 outs. Yeah, you heard me correctly. But back then I didn't know how the market worked. So I could do the trick, but no, you have to remember 38 outs, and it wasn't, in my pocket and this kind of stuff. It was self-contained, right inside the deck, and you could see one out, and it was examinable, but it couldn't be done. So I think I grown up as a creator. I feel bad saying that word when I know there are other creators outside, But anyway, back to your question, I think each trick has its own place, and each dealer, to go and choose what's the best place for my trick. I think that's a good fit. That's a good fit, and you know how to choose.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And what has the process been like working with Alakazam? Because obviously you've brought several routines out with them. The latest one, and we'll talk about these in a minute, but the latest one is Poison. And you've done an Alakazam Academy, I believe. Is that right?
Yeah, I did that, and it was great.
Yeah.
And I think I'm doing another one in 1 or 2 months. New material. Yeah, I'm really excited about that. So Alakazam, yeah, it's like family now. Alakazam. Peter Nardi is always there to listen to my ideas, and he's really helpful. Yeah, I'm really, really glad to be part of the Alakazam family. Really glad.
And one thing that Peter and the team always try to do at Alakazam is they always try to look at a product and really try to help.
Expand.
Yeah, exactly. That's something that they're very proud of, that they won't just take something on face value. Have you found that as well? And have they helped you with some of your creations?
Yeah, they certainly did help me, because I might have that idea, but Peter wants to take it a step and many steps further than that. And they always think about their customers, which is really good. They think, okay, our customers would like that to be added to that, and maybe they would appreciate if we did this and that. So I appreciate that he always thinks about his customers. And even if it costs him more, to do something, he will do it. He wouldn't care, and he would do it just to make his customers happy. Yeah, so he's ready to take the next step, and he's always there to help you. And his presentations are always, nice. He has a very good presentation for the collector. And yeah, I mean, he's a great guy.
And you brought out in quick succession, I think, let me see if I have my Nikolas Mavresis knowledge together. Xenomatch, then Destinations, then Collector, then Poison. I feel I might be missing one. Is that the four?
No, that's it.
Yeah, okay. Out of those four, I'm going to put you on the spot now. Which is your favorite?
I'll be honest, because I'm always honest in my life. I will not say, all of the tricks are my kids and all of them are the same. Actually, they are not, because I love the collector. That's the truth.
It's amazing. It's amazing. I know so many working pros that just use it all of the time. It's so simple, and you can adapt the presentation. I know that a lot of people use it with a darker presentation, but Ryland uses it, and he does it in a completely different way. And
I know.
And it just works. It works really, really well. It's such a wonderful routine.
Yeah, I mean, the reactions that I get from the collector are audible, because the other ones, they're amazed. It's a different kind of reaction. But the reactions that I get from the collector are, screams and this kind of stuff. And I'm not exaggerating. That's the truth. Even if I prefer to perform this to a woman, right? So because they express a lot more. They are holding the cards and they are shaking because they are afraid something it will happen. But you have to really, dress it up. I use music. I use low lighting because where I work, the lights are not very bright, so the setting the setting is perfect for that.
That's great. That's absolutely, and it deserves all the awards it won. It's absolutely incredible. Obviously, at time of filming, very, very recently, Poison has just come out, which when I watched the download for Poison, there's so many wonderful routines on there. It's not just the feature routine. There's so many other things that are on there as well. The value you get with that product is brilliant. But I have to say, I have spent years, as you know, I create magic, and I've spent years thinking about Gemini twins. trying to come up with a method of using 4 cards, which is what you did. And I would never have thought in a million years that what you achieved is possible. It is an example of ridiculously clever thinking. And I have no idea how your brain works, my friend. I really don't, because when you look at the download, you're like, oh, right, this makes total logical sense.
Yeah.
I spent like 20 years trying to come up with something like that, and I couldn't. But it's such a wonderful way of doing the routine. It's amazing. It really is.
Thanks so much. I guess, again, advice time now. I guess I have watched and learned from books, from DVDs, lots of different methods. That is really helpful. It's the toolbox. I try to fill my toolbox up to the, every day I try to learn new methods, because that is really helpful for me as well as a performer, as a magician, mentalist. So yes, I always try to do that, the Gemini twins, but because I have a large audience, it's minimum 4 people most of the times, I try to involve everyone. So I used to do the cut to the aces, and they all cut to the aces. Of course, I know that's a completely different trick, but I wanted to change that. So I thought of the Gemini twins. I added 4 cards, and then I wanted a stronger, reaction at the end. And I like kicker endings, as you know. So I added, 4 reveals and the big one at the end. And this is, I got the inspiration from Simon Aronson's shuffleboard routine. So if you combine these two, you get a really powerful routine. Some people think that it's a bit long-winded, but take your time. Take your time. It's not a strolling trick, as we all know. Take your time with it, and I'm sure you will have the best reactions, because the audience thinks that the trick is over when you reveal, when you do the 3rd reveal. But there's a 4th reveal and another one, which is, it's a blow in their head, at the end.
It's great. It's great. It's layered so well. It really is. Now, a little birdie told me that because of the success of Poison, you and Alakazam have an expansion pack coming out. Is that right?
Yes, that's right. Actually, I don't know if I should call it. Sorry, I didn't.
I was going to say, can we spill the beans on this a little bit?
Yeah, a bit. So, yeah, about that, I don't know if I can call it an expansion pack, because it's something different using strings. But you can do so many things, and so many things. We've added lots of gimmicks in the deck. We've added a stack, an alphabetical stack. We've added some markings. We've added so many things that you can do almost any trick. You can do it using this deck. The Poison deck is, I would say, a standalone trick, because we might, we added some bonus ideas, but the main feature routine is the one that you see in the trailer, and that's the one that I suggest most people to try if they can, right? But this deck is a different deck. Now I mentioned mnemonic. Now I'm going to be carrying the new Poison deck, because it can do the same things as mnemonic, but it's much more interesting.
Wow, that sounds amazing. Can we see it? Is it possible to see something with it?
Actually, yes, I can show you something.
Sorry to put you on the spot here, Nikolas, but I'd kick myself if I didn't.
No problem. Let me change the camera so you can see. Okay?
Yeah, I can see that.
Let me do this so I can see as well. So this is the deck. It has the same back, but I cannot show you this part of the deck, right? And you can see all these are gimmicks, so I cannot show you this. But there are so many possibilities you can do just with these cards. but I will leave them at the side for a moment. And okay, so I'm going to show you actually a trick that it's not a mentalist trick, but you can do it using this deck. Okay, so we have a shaker here. Okay,
yeah,
and another shaker. Actually, those are two special cards. I can create any drink I want with just these two cards. Believe it or not. Okay, I will show you later. Let me show you some drinks here. I have Manhattan, Negroni, Long Island, gin and tonic, you know, zombie, Jack and Coke, Irish coffee. You can see all the drinks are, you know, different, right?
Yep. Yep.
So we can actually, you know, shuffle the deck as well. And, you know, really shuffle. Now, the fairest way for me to have you select a drink, I guess I should run my thumb. You just say stop. Again, I said that I don't like this force, but you know, we're over Zoom. I can, you know, yeah. I think that's fair. Okay, and you can see there's nothing, right? Okay, say stop anywhere.
Stop.
Here. Yeah. I will show you this card. Now I would show you this card like so, but it's okay if I see it for now. It's Bloody Mary, okay?
Okay.
You could have said stop here, right? Or there, or there. So Bloody Mary. Actually, you know what? I will have you select. Let's take the next one, which is Apple Martini. Okay, remember these two drinks. Okay.
Got it.
Can you remember these two drinks? Bloody Mary, Apple Martini, and yeah. You can see how they look as well. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you can shuffle them back. Now I'm going to use these two cards to create the drink. Okay. By doing that, I have two empty glasses right away. You can see, right?
Yep.
So two empty glasses, and see there's an apple here and there's a straw. Actually, if we sandwich this card and do, you know, the shaker thing, we have to do this, you know, don't judge. Okay. Now I have your two drinks here. So this is see, this is just one of you know, hundreds of tricks you can do with this deck. And you know, I think it's great. You can do so many things with it.
That is incredible.
Actually, you know what? I will show you another one. You want to see another one?
Yes, please.
Okay. So let's do this. I have a prediction here, okay? Okay. You know, I love predictions because, you know, I like mentalism. So I have to do a prediction trick. So I will place my prediction here for safekeeping, okay? And leave it here in my wallet. Now, very fair, okay? I would just turn over cards like so, okay? And you just say stop whenever you like.
Stop.
Stop. You said stop.
Yeah.
Let's take the next one. Okay. And let me open my wallet. So if you had gone one further, you could have a Cosmopolitan, right? Hawaii iced tea, rum and coke, UK sour, mojito, whiskey sour, etc. Okay. All of these are, you know, different.
Yeah.
But you picked, can you see that?
Sex on the beach.
Sex on the beach. And I predicted that you would pick sex on the beach.
That's great.
Yeah.
I love it. That's funny. I love that. That's unbelievable.
So let me change the camera. By the way, you have to say to people that we haven't set up anything, right?
I hadn't even, to be honest, I didn't even know if you were, I asked, can I see a trick? I didn't even know that you were going to be able to show me one. I hadn't set anything up beforehand with Nicholas.
Yeah, I
No,
didn't say to you, stop there, and
that has completely fooled the hell out of me, to be honest, mate. It's completely fooled the hell out of me. I have
yeah,
no
and
idea.
it doesn't use any reference more than this kind of stuff. They can really examine everything. That's a good, I always like to give things out for examination because people ask to see things. If you go out and work and you have, it's not like a parlor show or a stage show. If you are working close up, people might want to get grabby and starting grabbing things. So I want to avoid that. But yeah, there are some funny things that you can do, like the one I showed you. There are some packet tricks that you can do. There are lots of things,
Oh,
you can do with this deck.
Amazing. And when are you anticipating? Obviously, you don't know 100%, but when roughly are you hoping for this to come out?
Probably 1 to 2 months.
Oh, wow. That's great. That's
Yeah.
great. That's great. That's amazing. Well, that's going to be another hit.
Thanks, man.
Now, let's talk about David Jonathan, because I don't know when this happened, but at some point, you and David Jonathan teamed up. Now, I think David Jonathan is a creative powerhouse. I think you are a creative powerhouse. I think that the two of you have released so much strong commercial quality magic. Putting the two of you together in a room almost isn't fair. Like, it's almost not fair. And I spoke to David Jonathan the other day, and he described you as his magic brother. And he said that you're basically on the phone to each other every day, and that you're always talking about ideas. And David said that you two have come together to start releasing and creating magic together, separately from the stuff that you're doing individually.
Yeah.
How did that come about?
Yeah. So David actually watched a lecture of mine, and he commented. He won. Actually, I did a competition, and he won a Cinemental deck. We started talking, and I knew David's material, and I love all his material, and I love his thinking, and I was flattered to speak with him, and I immediately saw that he's a great guy and a great creator as well. So I try to be, I am a humble guy, I think. So I asked advice, and I sent him my material. He really liked it. He sent me his material. I really liked it. And we didn't create, we were talking about magic, about ideas. And then he said, look, I have this. And I think, I'm at a dead end here. What shall I do? I said some ideas, and it led to a mutual trick that we're releasing with Penguin, because I shared my ideas and he combined his ideas, and it was a co-creation, right? Then we said, wow, that really works. I mean, the two of us creating a trick together. So we did another two, which is I don't know if I shall say the names, but I think that's okay, right?
Well, David shared with me one of the routines that you've got coming out with Murphy's Magic. I know that it's all in the wraps at the moment, so I can't say much, but it's the one with the chips and the movies and the envelopes.
That's right. Yeah.
More. When he showed me how that, first of all, it fooled the hell out of me. Like, I couldn't see how that was even possible. And then when he explained it to me, I have never seen that principle used in that way in magic before. It's almost so unfair to your audience. It's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great example of both of us working together, because I could not have done the trick without David, and I think David could not have done the trick without me. So it's a 50-50 collaboration together, because two minds are better than one, right? Yeah, and with David, I think of him as a friend first of all, and then as a magic buddy. I don't have magic buddies. It's only David that I trust, and I send my effects, and he judges them, and he's always there to really help me. And by saying really help me, he's going to say to me that, that's not good, that's good. Okay, maybe you should leave that out, or why don't you do that instead of that? That's a magic buddy, not the one that says all the time, that's great, and that's great, that's great, that's great. It's not great. You cannot be always, right, and you cannot create always, good stuff. So you have to have somebody to tell you where you need to stop, where you need to leave something out. And one of the reasons that, as you said, I bring out magic that is consistent and good, I think it's because of David as well, because he's the one who judges my stuff. And if my stuff are good, it's because, I have a good friend and somebody that can give me an honest advice about my magic.
So, and that's probably the biggest piece of advice that you've given yet on this interview, which is don't just rush things out. Make sure that it's absolutely worthy of release. Make sure that you have all of the boxes ticked before you put that out to market.
That's right. Actually, that's a good point for me now to mention a small story about the collector, actually, that people might not know. I sent the collector to Peter Nardi, right? He loved it, but it wasn't collector back then. I named it collector after listening to David's idea of adding the trophies behind the cards, because that is David's idea, adding the trophies, and that made sense to the whole routine. It changed the whole routine. I named it the collector after that. And yeah, and that's that's probably 40-50% of the trick. That small idea. And we didn't release collector back then, but then when I shared that idea to Peter, and another trick that I made that made the whole trick self-working, we then went right ahead and released it. So that's that's really helpful to have somebody who can share ideas. You don't need to have 10 people or 20 people, because when 1-2 people are good enough, but they need to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really hope, I don't know if he will, he probably won't, but I really hope that Jay Sankey watches this interview and listens to that advice. Oh my God, I really do. Because there's a guy that's so creative, but he's an example of somebody who just brings out everything. And I think he could do with listening to your advice on that.
I don't think that he will see my review, but watch my review, but sorry, my interview.
You never know. You never know. You never know.
You never know.
But no, it is really good advice. And you talked earlier on about how I have a disdain for downloads, but that's only because there's so many bad downloads that are rushed to market that aren't ready. And I know for a fact that that's not you, and you really care about your reputation and you care about the stuff that you release, which is wonderful. It really is. Two more questions about David. Number one, I've known him for a short while. He seems like one of the nicest people in magic. As somebody who's a friend of his, can you dish some dirt on him? Because nobody is that perfect. Surely he's got some annoying habit. He picks his nose, right? He does something. Give me some gossip on him, because at the moment, I'm beginning to think this guy's perfect and it's really annoying the hell out of me. So give me something, Nikolas, anything, just so I can go to sleep at night.
Actually, look, I wouldn't consider him as a friend if he was, a bad guy. And I wouldn't speak to him even, but it's not disadvantage. Actually, it's an advantage. He really thinks about the small details that nobody would think. That's not, that's sometimes he overthinks maybe, but that's I cannot say that this is a disadvantage. Actually, it's the opposite.
Yeah.
But he really thinks of the smallest details, and that's, I'm a different type of creator. I like to create something, and then he sees through things. That's why we both work so well together. because I add my things, he adds his things, and then there's something good there. But yeah, he really, if I could say something, sometimes he overthinks.
Yeah, but that's why you two work so well together. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. The Lennon and McCartney of the magic world. Wonderful. That's so good to see. So here's the question for you: what does the future hold? Because obviously, I know that you've got 3 releases coming out through with David, through Penguin and through Murphy's, and obviously you've got another product coming out with Alakazam relatively soon, which you've just shown us. Outside of that, what does the future hold for Nikolas Mavresis? And as you said, you're new to magic. You've only been doing it a decade. It's not that new, but you're new to magic. But you've done so much in a very short period of time, and you have cemented your name as someone who brings out quality material. You've said that over the last year, you've spent a long time thinking of your magic because of the pandemic and because of being locked down in Cyprus. What are your thoughts moving forward? Are you still going to be creating and releasing as much magic? Are there any things on your magical bucket list that you haven't hit yet that you'd like to hit? And when things go back to normal, as I'm sure they will very, very soon, within the next 6 months, hopefully we're going to get back to a certain degree of normality. When you start performing music again 7 days a week and Pathos starts to become the tourism hub that it should be, are you still going to have time to create magic? Where's the future for you, Nikolas?
Great question. So when all this pandemic thing is over, of course, I'm going to be working. But this pandemic I have learned something from this pandemic. I don't want to work 7 days a week before, because now I get to see my kids, I get to see my family, and I really spend time with them, and I really love it. So I promised my wife, my kids, and myself that I'm not going to be working again 7 days a week, because I don't want to do that. I can live with less money, so that's okay. That's not an issue, because I get to do things that I like. And again, somebody might think of this pandemic and think negatively, but I don't want to do that. I'm a positive guy, so I will be working, because I cannot live without music as well. So I will be doing music, but not every day. Maybe it's going to be 4 or 5 times. Now, as for magic, I will continue, creating magic if I have something good. And if I haven't, I don't care if I don't release any single effect in 1 year. That's not my goal. My goal is not to create constantly every month or every 2 months. Actually, I was talking about David with that. We're so caught up with our projects that we forgot about our own projects. But we don't have to do that. I'm waiting for these current releases to get out, and I want them to get out and be good. We have to look at the smallest detail. Until we do that, I don't want to start and thinking about other effects or other releases. Again, I'm happy if I release one routine and it's really good, instead of releasing 3, 4, 5 routines and they're okay and so. So that's another thing. About my bucket list, yeah, my first goal was when I started performing magic and getting into magic. My first dream, should I say, was to release a trick. So, tick, yeah, check. That's done. But I'm not a man that hasn't got anything to do and any goals. So now I want to add another 1 or 2 goals, and I can share this with you. One is to be able to lecture at Blackpool. Maybe in 10 years, I don't know, but that's something that I want to do one day. I know that it's really hard, because the best magicians in the world lecture at Blackpool. So that's one thing. And the next one is maybe travel, around the world and do lectures someday.
They are both very achievable goals. They really are very, very achievable. 100%. If I had anything to do with planning Blackpool, I'd definitely put you at the on the bill. 100%. Unfortunately,
Thanks, man.
I don't. But if I had anything to do with it, you'd definitely be there. And I know that whatever you carry on, whatever you do, I know you're going to be successful doing it. I really do,
Thanks
because
so much.
it's obvious to me. It was obvious to me even before this interview, but it's definitely brought it home to me now how much you love magic and how much you love what you do and how important your reputation is to you. And I think that's something that as performers and magicians we can learn from, because there's certain magicians and creators, and I know you can just tell from looking at them, they're going through the motions. They've bought a trick out because they want to make money from it. It's not a passion of theirs. They perform because it's an easy way to make money, and that's fine if they want to do that. But I can just tell that you're very, very passionate about performing. And if you didn't enjoy the process of creating magic, I think you'd probably not create it.
Yeah, I think the same. Yeah, you were spot on. Not about me, about a random guy that loves magic, and that's the way that they should do it. That's the only way. Because then you are fake, or you're a copy of somebody else.
Yeah,
right?
100%. Now, before I wrap this whole thing up, I just want to ask you one more question. You've mentioned a few times over the course of this interview, your lecture. I know for sure I want to see your lecture. Are you bookable? Can people book you?
Yeah,
Your lecture bookable? Because I can see that you've got a nice setup there. You've got the overhead cam. So can people book you for a virtual lecture?
Yeah, actually, I bought I recently bought a stream deck, so I'm learning about that now. I bought, 3 cameras, and that's not actually the room that I will be lecturing. I'm in the kitchen now. Don't share this with anybody. But yes, I have my own room. My own website is coming out in 2 weeks' time, 3 weeks' time.
What's the URL? Because by the time this goes live, that will probably be live, and I'll put it at the bottom.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope so. It's ready. It's www.mavresis, my surname, Mavresis.com.
Madrassas.com. Great URL. And if people want to contact you for a lecture, would they go via that website? Or
yeah, that's right. That's a tab that says lectures, so they can book me through my website.
Boom. And will your products be available for sale on there as well?
Yeah.
Brilliant. That's amazing. That's really, really good. And outside of that, if what people want to check out your social media, are you active on Instagram or YouTube or Facebook?
Facebook and Instagram. Just type in my name.
So just
Nikolas Mavresis.
Nikolas Mavresis.
Yeah.
All of that information that Nikolas just told us about is going to be at the bottom of the screen right now. And it's also going to be the description to this video. So please go and check out his socials. Make sure you give him a follow, and make sure that you go check out his website. And if you want somebody to come along to do a lecture that will inspire and motivate, and lecture on routines that are absolutely workable by pretty much anybody, then Nikolas is a lecture that you want to book. So I implore that everybody goes and books you, Nikolas. And obviously, as you said, you have got another Alakazam Academy coming up.
Yeah.
The first one is still available for, you can still get the first one. But Nikolas is doing a second one, so check out for that as well. Yeah, Nikolas, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. It's been amazing. I've been wanting to get you on this channel for a very long time, and I'm so glad that you've eventually agreed. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks so much. Thanks so much. It's a huge honor, really, to be able to talk to you. You know how I think of you, and it's like I'm a fanboy right now. Talking to you.
The feeling's mutual, my friend. I'm a massive fan of you. I really am. I think that I think you're one of the good guys in magic, and you deserve all of the success that you get. So thank you again, Nikolas.
Thanks so much, Craig. Thanks so much.
No problem. And guys, leave a comment down below for Nikolas. I'm sure he'll see it and reply if he can. Follow him on social media and check out his website. And if you know anyone who's looking for a lecture, point them in Nikolas's way. Outside of that, make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel as well. 23 videos a week right now, so make sure you subscribe, leave a comment down below. If you want to see more videos like this, like the video, and I'm going to be back again tomorrow with 3 videos, one at 2 o'clock, one at 6 o'clock, one at 9 o'clock. I'll see you guys then. Thanks very much for watching. My name's Craig from Magic TV.